This episode of the Lonely Island podcast is brought to you by our friends at Maker's Mark. We are celebrating Women's History Month by recognizing the spirited women in our lives and remembering Maker's Mark co-founder Margie Samuels. You too can celebrate the spirited women in your life with a free personalized label to go with a bottle of Maker's Mark. Head to makersmarkpersonalize.com and fill in the details in order to create and mail your custom label. Maker's Mark makes their bourbon carefully. Please enjoy it that way. Maker's Mark, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 45% alcohol per volume. Copyright 2025, Maker's Mark Distillery, Incorporated, Loretto, Kentucky.
It's the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast. Yeah.
I think Keeve's about to join us, and so let's get out the business that Keeve doesn't want to talk about. Andy, something mind-boggling happened this week.
What?
There was an S in the spelling bee.
Oh my God, yeah.
First time ever.
Our whole community was reeling.
Do you know the reason for it?
No.
It was the 2,500th spelling bee. They were celebrating with the S.
The 25th hundred?
Yeah.
Is that an important number?
I don't know. Ask Sam Mazursky.
Have they ever reused a word while doing this?
You don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is crazy for you to even chime in.
Like, what does that even mean?
Oh, spelling bee. Sorry. I thought we were talking about your thing, that thing that you like to do.
Oh, can I also jump in and say that the biggest feedback from the Ross Trent episode in the comments was people yelling, "Release the Yorm cut."
God, I wish it was better. I wish it was not just disappointing.
I know. And what I want to say to our listeners, I get it. You want to hear it because it sounds funny to you. And it was funny. It is not an audio experience that would be enjoyable.
It was funny for like 30 seconds.
It's like living through when two people are trying to connect, but there's a bad connection.
Right.
But I was in the room, so it was even worse.
Yeah.
We could see you.
Yeah, it sucked.
When you called in and forgot there was a pod, that was perfect.
That's as much Yorm as anybody wants. Also, can I just say, in that particular episode too, because that was, you guys, my favorite episode of the pod. Like, with or without me, I thought it was so informative.
Oh,
I know a lot about dancehall and reggae. I do, but like I learned. I was so impressed at how on point you guys were with all the references.
Yormy.
I know a lot of those things, obviously. I was there writing the song with you guys.
Well, Yorm, can I just say that's very nice?
Yes.
Can I also just say that I like to say, can I just say?
Mm-hmm.
And can I also just say that no episode will ever be my favorite unless we're all on it together?
Oh,
Well, I was on it, though.
very nice.
I popped in,
Yeah.
said that I forgot, and then left.
I heard that my dream came true and that some people made the Ross Trent playlist, which is like all the songs referenced on
that
the
you
song.
mentioned.
Oh, my God. That's like the reason to do the podcast for just that moment.
I was very glad to hear that. A friend of mine told me that had happened, which had been a secret dream. So anyone out there, thanks for compiling. Those are some great songs.
And may I just say, to steal your entry to a sentence line,
Sure.
I had a fear, Yorm, I'm so happy you said that because I had a fear over the course of the Ross Trent record. Is this too granular? And based on what I've read and heard about it, most people agree with Yorm. I think people really liked the deep dive of that. And it is nice on the 50th episode to realize maybe I don't fully understand what people want. But I'm open.
I also, in addition to being informative, though, it was like on an ego tip just to be like, hey, this is how much we care. And that's what I also felt like listening to it again. It was like, right, we really like every single, the fact that it was a stop down every second. I'm just like, oh, sorry, this means this.
I like to imagine there's at least one person that listens to the cast who knew all that stuff and more and was sitting there banging their head on the desk like, I know about Capleton. Oh my God, just be fucking funny.
It's our friend Ziamara Nadira Bettine in Berkeley, California, who was just sitting there, except for that she likes us so much that she was like, right on, guys.
A few other comments about this pod that I did enjoy. Someone wrote, love that this episode is a lot of Seth being like, I swear I'm cool, guys. And then someone wrote underneath that, ... this episode, ? LOL.
Burn.
So I guess that might be a real burn. And then someone else said, this is the episode Seth realized he's turbo white.
I'm going to make you a t-shirt that says that, Seth.
Okay, but then I'm going to make a t-shirt about you, Yorm, because this one made me laugh out loud. It is, Keeve's coming over, and I want Keeve to hear this.
I already love it. I already love whatever it is.
Do you think there's a chance, Seth, they mean Turbo from the movie Breakin'? Or like Turbo from the movie Turbo?
I don't think so. I think there's zero chance.
That's kind of you, though, Andy.
Keeve, can you hear me?
I don't want to interrupt the flow.
We were waiting for you, Keeve, because I want to maybe get this on a t-shirt. It's a comment. Yorm is a giant memento.
Oh, like a Chris Nolan memento.
Yeah, Yorm's memory is such that he's
piecing together the day.
Yeah, I'm piecing together that I know I'm friends with these guys. They're laughing, so I must be friends with them.
Oh my God. We should just write podcast huge and Sharpie on your forearm.
Yorm called in, heard there was a podcast, and thought he could drive fast enough to get there before it started.
Even though it was happening.
I did. It's the best part of the podcast, and no one will ever hear it.
He tried to Nolan his way back to the start of the podcast. He tried to Interstellar to the beginning.
I knew it was a bad idea. Even as I was driving over, guys, I was like, this is a bad idea.
Oh, man. It's all Nolan refs, though. He was behind the books.
Yeah.
In the galactic vortex.
I haven't seen that one.
Keeve, one more time. We established this because everybody in the comments said release the clowning on Yorm cut.
Right.
You can verify for people that it was more fun to talk about than actually listen to.
Yeah, I think so. There was a lot of confusion.
No, it stank. It stank. Also, I had like a 5-minute like audio clip that didn't go anywhere with Mr. Beck Bennett. It stunk.
You know, I feel bad because a lot of people wrote that the cones, those giant cones in New York that have steam coming out of them that you used as a big old bong in Ross Trent. People sent me YouTube links explaining it, Wikipedia pages. I didn't read any of them, but basically they said New York, it's releasing steam. So I will just assume that if you don't release steam, New York explodes.
That was my only grievance that I had was that was my idea, and you fucking credited Keeve with that, Andy.
Oh, you were the idea to use it as a big old bong?
Oh.
I was. We were just walking on the street, and I was like, hey, that'd be cool. And you were smoking a cigarette, Andy, and you didn't like it.
See, this is why we needed you, bro. That's why without you, it can never be a perfect ep.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, man. Also, I don't think that Cold Stone was in Times Square. I think it was closer to where we shot Boombox, a little farther down near the West Side Highway.
I thought it was West Side, too, yeah.
Look at all these memories.
Yeah.
Just sitting in that brain.
Memento. I wrote it down on my chest. It was carved into my chest.
Those were the tattoos.
Oh my God. The most useless memento tattoos.
Fuck you, Eric.
He wakes up in his motel. He's like, where am I? Who am I? Andy smoked a cigarette for that shot.
I know they're laughing, so they're definitely friends of mine, or are they making fun? Maybe I'm the enemy of the podcast.
That's what you had to get a tattoo said they're making fun, but remember they're friends of yours.
Oh my God.
Speaking of Cold Stone, somebody wrote, used to work near a Cold Stone Creamery, and every time I walked in, I'd sing Meat Toil part-time at Jack Cold Stone Creamery.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's really
This
great.
one is even, somebody wrote, often when people in my family realize that the thing we're complaining about is really trivial, we'll sing Meat Toil part-time at Jack Cold Stone Creamery. I really like that usage.
I don't know which comment is better.
Yeah, they're very nice. Somebody opined that bald heads can be anyone that's not Rastafarian because one of the livities is the word they used of being Rasta is you cannot cut your hair.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a better description for sure.
they're not literally bald.
Yeah.
Ross Trent doesn't know that, though.
Before we move on, do you guys think that this is a Criterion Collection episode?
Ooh, good question.
Ross Trent, I think yes, 100%.
Yeah, I think so too. Just for the specificity of everything that was pointed out last episode and how much it is a part of our lives and growing up as the three of us in Berkeley, like to me, yes. And the fact that Rihanna liked it so much. Because I don't know if you guys remember this, but we did play it for her in the room with a bunch of her friends. And she was laughing really hard.
Oh, we did.
And then she showed it to her friends who had the shop, you think, after that?
Yeah, I'm assuming that happened later, but we definitely showed it to her.
Got it.
And there was definitely like a huge level of her going from like, who are these guys to like, oh, okay.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, having it as a calling card.
God, I love
So
her.
both stories were true. We really needed Yorm. We didn't know what Yorm
Yeah.
brought to this with his memory.
I will say, for me, definitely personal Criterion. It's one of my favorite ones we've ever done because, as these guys were saying, it's so personally meaningful. But I'm very proud of it, and I will always be glad we did it.
I would not have said it was Criterion before the episode. And I'm going to venture that maybe our listeners wouldn't either, but I'm very excited because it swung me, and I wonder if the episode will swing the voters the next time we.
Wait, it swung Turbo White?
Turbo White did not go into this thinking he could
Turbot White.
Turbot White. It's like a flaky white fish.
They were clearly referring to his complexion, that it is that of a cooked turbot.
Wait, is that better?
Well, you know what? Turbo,
I got fish skin.
Seth, I'm looking at you right now and you got fish skin, buddy. I don't know what to tell you.
So a turbot is a kind of fish?
Yeah.
It is, but it has a T at the end and it's not spelled the same, so this doesn't really work.
I think it does.
Hey, you know what? I kept meaning to say this the whole last episode when we were recording, and it's for nobody, but one of my favorite books in like the last 10 years is a book called A Brief History of Seven Killings.
So good.
By this wonderful writer named Marlon James, which is about the attempted assassination on Bob Marley, and it's a fantastic book, Jamaican crime book. Highly recommend.
Ooh.
And guess who recommended that and sent it to me? My friend Ziamara Nadira Batin that I was talking about, who loves dancing.
Wow.
Makes sense. That's a Berkeley.
Thanks for saying her full name every time.
Berkeley shout out.
Shout out Ziamara.
I maybe was called a Turbo White in the comments. It was also mentioned, somebody said, God, I only wish those guys would ever tell us where they grew up.
Oh my God.
That's maybe the deepest burn of any burn.
Yeah. We did not get to the actual episode, though. As discussed in the last pod, it was an golden episode for my money. And I was just wondering if we could spend a little bit of time talking down. Would that be all right for you, gentlemen?
Of course.
I think more than a little.
I love that idea.
All right, great.
But before you even get into the Hamm episode, did you have anything else on the Brolin episode that we also went right past? Because these were, is it the two last episodes of the Sarah Palin All Eyes on the Show kind of hot spot, especially for you, Seth?
There's one more.
There's one more.
There's one more episode before the election.
And was there anything, I know we touched on the Brolin, so I don't need us to go in super slow-mo here, but was there other stuff?
Can you throw it in the rundown in the chat, Kev?
Oh, he says MacGruber's, Fartface. That was all in that app.
Oh.
Mark Wahlberg talks to animals with actual Mark Wahlberg.
Yep.
Real Sarah Palin.
I'm no angel.
I'm No Angel, which was the very pregnant Amy Poehler walking across a bar because Brolin had made eyes at her, using her own pregnant belly for physical comedy in a way that was remarkable.
And is Fall Foliage in this, or was that a different time?
Oh, that might have been Fall Foliage.
Is Fall Foliage... If Fall Foliage and Fartface was in the same episode, that's really asking a lot of an audience.
I remember thinking that the Brolin show was a not good show, that it had the amazing politics at the top,
Yeah.
that it had all eyes on the show, everyone was watching, and that we kind of blew it. But in hindsight, as we mention all the sketches on it, now I think maybe it was a fantastic show.
I mean, it's definitely stuff we personally love.
You remember thinking that at the time, Kev? At the time, you're like, this stinks.
I remember feeling like, wow, we have the attention of the entire country on us because of the stuff the politics stuff that Seth was working on, and that nobody had brought our A game, that something had gone wrong. And even though Brolin was great.
Brolin was great, and almost so great that it worked against us because Brolin loved stuff like Fartface and Fall Foliage, which were super writer sketches.
I also loved the MacGruber so much that I don't think I felt like that at the time, but maybe I was just being...
I think I maybe was wrong, or maybe I'm remembering wrong.
Well, it was also Adele's debut, right? We talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's like an all-time episode.
Yeah.
And yet, so back in the day, one of my jobs as head writer was to decide on which episode we submitted for the Emmys. And I remember Lauren submitted this one for show. And there was a real idea that this was the show for that year, which was the politics year. And yet, as we talk through this season, there are other episodes that I like a great deal more on the writing side, even though we're going to talk about sketches I like, just the writing that played hotter. And I feel a regret about my decision while also knowing no matter what I picked, The Daily Show was going to win.
Yeah, that was so sad. So every year.
And by the way, every year, and I want to stress, I'm sure The Daily Show had an exceptional 2008. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is so funny all these years later to be like, should have picked Hathaway or Hamm.
And you're just like, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. But it is fun to know that all these years later, still in my head, I'm like, that. Because if there was ever a year I thought sitting at the Emmys we had a shot,
Yeah.
it was this year.
Yeah.
Well, the cultural impact of SNL that year was massive.
Yes.
Undeniably.
Can we also just talk about how at the Emmys, at the particular Emmys that you go to for these awards, they tend to do the biggest groups, like all of the writers from SNL, big writing staffs at the end because people will leave if they don't win. So you have to stay till the very end.
Yeah, it was
and
really late.
Also, you can't drink alcohol, so it stinks.
I will say the nice tail of it was, I just might not be an award we're going to win after that year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
And, our future, we would have some nice wins with songwriting, and that was a perfectly lovely way for things to turn out.
Got some WGA awards. Those are cool.
We did I do believe we got a WJ award this year, which was very nice. I'll tell you something, a true story. I was sitting next to Lauren a year we won a WG award, and Lauren has never been to a WG award before this or after, but he received a Lifetime Achievement Award that year, and so he was actually at the awards. And when we won the WGA award that year, Lauren did a little fist pump.
Did he really? Will you? Not that anyone can see that, but will you do it for us? How it? Really?
Wow, nice tight little pump.
Just a tight little pump.
Yeah.
Never a moment that I wish that we were showing video of this more than just now.
That was great.
Yeah. It was, but I only did that for the Zoom box. I'm pretty sure it was like a fist pump, like in his lap. Like, I think it was not to be seen. It was like a little instinctual fist pump.
He still thinks to this day no one saw, but you just blew up his spot.
I want him to know.
How was his Lifetime Achievement? Because I will say the WGA award, this is real ego-y and shitty, but it's the nicest looking award to me. I like that award.
It's a beautiful award. It's a death trap for kids.
It looks like a murder weapon.
Yeah. Lauren's speech, I don't remember, but I remember that Downey presented it to him, and Downey was so funny. And I remember one of his jokes was Lauren made sure that he always gave opportunities to people to be writers that never had opportunities before. People like the children of celebrities, Harvard graduates, and the British. This episode of the Lonely Island Podcast is brought to you by your friends at Maker's Mark. And I'm with some of my friends right now. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Margie Samuels was a spirited woman. She was also the co-founder of Maker's Mark. I don't have to tell you guys this stuff.
No,
we'd know it, but our listeners might not, so continue.
All right, well, in honor of Women's History Month, we wanted to toast some of the spirited women in our lives.
That was my idea, actually. These guys were thinking about not doing it, and I was like, we should.
Yeah, you are in many ways as trailblazing as Margie Samuels Yorm, and I've often said that.
Well, I kept saying, I want to mark this day with Maker's Mark. And you guys kept saying, what does that mean? I was like, it means a toast, guys.
Way to land the plane, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you, Seth.
I want to tell a story about a spirited woman I saw during the 50th. And I was a little bit lucky because I was there on Friday for some rehearsal action. And I got to watch the Close Encounters rehearsal with Kate McKinnon. And I feel it's the most I've ever watched an actor's process. Guys, I'm going to wrap this up. You too can celebrate the spirit of women in your life with a free personalized label to go with the bottle of Maker's Mark. Head to makersmarkpersonalized.com and fill in the details in order to create and mail your custom label. Don't forget to grab a bottle of Maker's Mark to go with it.
Maker's Mark makes their bourbon carefully. Please enjoy it that way. Maker's Mark, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 45% alcohol per volume. Copyright 2025, Maker's Mark Distillery, Incorporated, Loretto, Kentucky.
Support for the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast comes from Airbnb. Some trips are better in an Airbnb. When you're traveling with a group of friends, or maybe you're traveling with a large family or an extended family, or when you're looking for an authentic or local experience. Hey, everybody. Obviously, this podcast is about four friends hanging out, talking about old times. And we have taken trips with our SNL writer friends. It was something we would do during our time at SNL. We went to Amsterdam once to hang out with my friends from Boom Chicago, which is the comedy theater I used to work at. And we went out of our way to make sure we booked an Airbnb because we knew that our evenings would end and we would want to go have a quiet hang with one another. And the bars were going to be closed and the hotel lobby was going to be closed. But with an Airbnb, we could find our way into a nice living room. We would have a kitchen where we bought the snacks we wanted to eat. Maybe had a fridge full of beverages, both adult and otherwise. And those times, that hang, when we would all just settle in together, was one of the things that made that trip extra special. And it was all thanks to Airbnb and what it provides that other places don't. So when you're looking for an authentic or local experience, book your next awesome trip today at airbnb.com. So, look, Fartface and Fall are two of the most memorable sketches that did not play at all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Fartface, did Fartface play badly? Because I will say playing it for my 10-year-old son played pretty gangbusters.
Fartface died. Fartface died so much that it dyed at dress and somehow made it to air. And the famous story that Hader tells is that right before,
Very cool.
nice buddy, Andy got Queen Bee mid my setup to a
I
story.
was still playing, and I got it clean.
And I got it clean.
I'm still going to text it to you, Seth, so there's a record of it when we go back through this on our deathbeds.
That's on the fucking podcast. There's a record of it now.
When we're on our deathbeds and we're scrolling through our text chain.
How many queen bees did I get? Before I go, I need to know how many queen bees I got.
I only regret the time I spent with my family, not chasing more bees.
I gave up too soon, too many times.
Just to take them to and from school. Wasted hours. So Brolin said to Forte and Hader right before they did the sketch at air, let's shut these fuckers up.
Yeah,
Like-
they've been laughing
like-
too much.
That's fucking killer.
Is that real?
That's real.
Oh, my
he
God.
knew it had died at dress and then it was going to air. It was right after Adele and Update, both red hot. So, by the way, that's Palin Rap closing Update.
Oh, let's shut these fuckers up.
Wow.
The audience is as hot. The first American audience ever to see Adele.
Yeah.
Into Weekend Update, into a Palin Rap, and then into Fartface, which a man who called his shot. Not since Babe Ruth has anybody called a shot better than Josh Brolin saying, let's shut these fuckers
That's
up.
so awesome.
By the way, the level that they're selling it at feels like a guy who just said that to his team. Like, let's fucking go! Like, it is 150% that each of them is screaming the word Fartface for like 5 minutes.
Well, here's how the sketch starts. And again, everybody go back and watch Fartface, just because now that we give it the historical context it deserves. Interior office, Will stands at a table, Bill enters. Hello, Jerry.
Jerry?
Hello, Fartface. Ready for the meeting?
Jerry, so this again, huh?
What's the matter, Fartface?
Jerry, it's been a week now, and I think it's about time you stop calling me Fartface.
And why is that, Fartface?
Because, for your information, I'm not a fartface.
Well, that's your opinion, Fartface.
No, that's a lot of people's opinions, Jerry.
I mean, this is literally the most watched show in the history of SNL because it has its finger on the pulse of politics. They have the same voice.
Yeah.
Everyone has the exact same voice.
So fucking tough. I fucking love it.
Let's shut these fuckers up.
Oh, my God.
Really good shit.
I would just argue,
Yep.
as with many Forte pieces, often Forte pieces with John Solomon, often pieces with John Solomon and Yorm and Taccone, they really hold up and stand the test of time. And I think there's a whole generation that holds them in the highest regard and sort of thinks of them how we thought of them at the time, which is that they were the funniest shit ever.
Yes. And by the way, this is Forte Hader. I remember these guys definitely walking around the office screaming Fartface at each other. It's like an album that does not quite get the attention it deserved at the time, but everybody at the record store is like, dude, you got to listen to Fartface.
Yes. Every single one of these is Paul's Boutique.
It's false.
Yeah. Within 5 years, people are like, fuck.
Yes. With that said, if Mike D or Ed Rock are listening, do not go watch Fartface.
No,
After Andy said
Paul's
that.
Boutique is better than Fartface. I'm not saying Fartface is the best of these. I'm just saying, you get into things like
Yes.
potato chip and spelling bee and, I've noticed that there is sort of a universal love and appreciation of this tone, more so than the live audiences were giving it at that time.
Yeah.
That's all.
And then Fall, the other thing about Fall is this is sort of in the same way you were talking about a Forte piece. James Anderson and Ken Sublette. Now, one of the things working against it, it's now the second half of the show, it is another office sketch. So Fartface took place in the entirety of an office.
Right.
And now it's just a different part of an office. It's a boardroom. And Josh Brolin comes in as the boss. And he just gets caught talking about fall foliage.
Okay, guys, sorry to keep you waiting. The train was late. But listen, before we begin, can I please just take a moment to talk about the fall foliage? All the crimsons and golds and browns and golds and buttery golds and buttery browns.
The buttery browns.
Buttery browns, but that's what I mean.
Still gets quotes. Still gets quoted.
Yeah.
By us, not by the audience, by people who work there.
But again, music, just music. Also, it has a real surf meeting cadence to it. Has anyone seen the fall foliage? Quick, yes or no, starting with Tom. Fall foliage, go. No, no, no,
good.
no, 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 no. No one? It's amazing. You know what? I was seriously thinking of putting together a fall foliage getaway just for us, just for everyone in this room, to go and see the browns, the golds, and buttery golds.
The golds and buttery golds.
Who's interested? Quick yes or no, starting with Tom. Go. No, no,
Oh, it
no,
really is
no,
surf meeting.
no,
Oh, it really is
no.
surf meeting.
100%.
Oh my God, here and then now, again, it's that great James and Ken thing where, because if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. The toasted oranges, the buttery rusts.
The buttery rusts.
Buttery rusts. And again, God, it's just dying.
I'll pay all the expenses. I'll rent the car. I'll rent a van. I'll rent a very large van so we're all together and I can point out the different foliage that I think everybody should be looking at. And then after we've seen all the foliage, if there's still time, we can go to a gourd farm and pick out some gourds and arrange them.
Oh my God.
I love that this clearly came from actually doing this too. Going up, leaf peeping, right?
Well,
Which is
yeah.
a thing on the East Coast in particular.
Somebody said buttery rusts in front of James Anderson one time and it was over. That's all it took.
He's like, oh, yeah.
That's like a buttery rust.
But there you go. I mean, so again, here I am being like, echoing what Keeve said. You're like, it was the moment where everybody was watching. But there's a real nobility about the fact that the show had a couple of sketches in there that really do stand the test of time.
Ish.
They stand the test of being memorable.
Fun fact, this was the week that Noah Baumbach came by just to do one of those guest director, guest writer weeks, and him and Fred and Bill had been cooking up some little short, and they filmed a short called New York Underground that I can't actually remember what it was about. But I know they had been chatting for like weeks or months about like, we should do something. And then Noah came in. There was a history of this through the years. Like Andy Warhol did one once. And before we were there, PTA directed one. And sometimes people just come in who want to experience the week.
It's a pretty cool thing to experience.
Can I say something controversial?
Yeah.
I think Noah Baumbach and PTA make good movies.
Whoa.
How dare you?
Whoa.
Yeah. Shots fired.
Can I say something even more controversial? I think they make great movies.
Is it more like guns holstered? Gun holstered as opposed to shots fired?
Oh, yeah, because it's the
gun
opposite.
holstered.
Because it was like
Gun
the most
holstered.
peaceful, nice thing.
Safety on.
Yeah, exactly.
Nerf gun holstered.
Exactly.
Ham shows up. We all know him as Don Draper. Everybody dresses up as a Mad Men character. We've never did this before. For my knowledge, never did it since. We all dress up like we are working at Sterling Draper Price.
Yes, and I think I've already mentioned this, but I hadn't seen Mad Men yet and did a bad job of dressing up as Mad Men. And he told me years later he noticed when I told him I had finally watched Mad Men.
He's like, oh, yeah, I could tell.
How'd you dress?
I think I was in probably a baggy button-up, like a polka dot tie or something. I don't know.
You thought it was Crazy Dudes. You thought it took place in an insane asylum.
We didn't take this seriously.
We didn't take the assignment seriously. Yeah.
I'll tell you how unseriously I took it. As a writer, I'm like, he doesn't know who I am. I just will leave the room. And I didn't dress at all and just made myself scarce. I didn't want to mess up the bit, but I was like, no one's going to notice if I'm not there.
Yeah.
So I was not.
It was a delight. He was a delight. The show was great. And looking at it, the writers' names who are on this episode is a real reminder that it was Ann Golden era, not just for cast, but writers as well. Downey wrote a cold open. Simon and Mulaney wrote the Ham monologue. And then Trick or Treat, Jeff Montgomery, the first appearance of Jeff Montgomery. A perfect sketch.
Sorry, I was looking at the Mad Men picture.
Yeah, so was I. I was remembering
Okay.
because I couldn't remember if I dressed up, and I did.
I think I look pretty good.
Yeah, you're not bad.
All right, we're
man.
looking at it now.
Yeah, I think I look good.
Oh, yeah, you're fine, Andy.
Yeah.
You're fine.
You know what I think happened, though? I think wardrobe helped out.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a little cigarette.
I mean, it's a bummer right now, Keeve, that you're not in this picture.
Yeah.
That's true. Is Yorm in there?
I'm in there. I'm in the back.
Oh, yeah, there you are.
Yeah.
Little shrimpy guy.
So, yeah, I just hid for the picture. Like, well, I'm not going to ruin their picture, but I'm also not going to put on a tie. I'm too tired.
I will say that Sudeikis most looks like he could be on Mad Men.
Lutz.
Sudeikis, Lutz, and
Lutz really is pulling it
Yeah,
off.
Suds does look right.
Mulaney.
And Bobby, too. And Bobby.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Bobby could. And Bill down there with his wig on.
Yeah, Bill's doing a Peggy, or who's he? Joan?
Can't quite remember who Bill's doing. This is good podcast material, just four guys looking at a picture and talking about it. The amount that I'm trying to do the podcast and you guys are like, hold on, I'm looking at a picture.
You know what? Fuck you, Seth. You fucking elitist bitch.
Every one of you just goes glassy-eyed as I'm trying to set up things. You're like,
hey, remember this thing we've been talking about for weeks that we need to do? And
somebody put a picture in the chat.
it's not about the short, Seth. I want to look at the picture.
You started it.
Jeff Montgomery, Trick or Treat. You guys remember Jeff Montgomery?
yes.
Oh, my God. It's a classic.
I think it's a pedophile sketch.
Yeah, it's a pedophile sketch, but this one absolutely threads that needle. If somebody said I'm working on a pedophile sketch, you wouldn't be excited, but this one threads the needle.
This is Jost solo or worked with Forte?
Jost, Forte, Solomon. But it feels like
okay.
there's some Jostian flourishes.
Sure. Jostian flares are when he wears bell bottoms.
Which he probably does next time we have dinner.
Of course he does, yeah. His stylist has got him all up in those flares.
After the Kendrick Super Bowl, it's all that's in his closet now.
Oh my God. What was the outfit he wore that we just laid into him for the entirety of the dinner? Was it like the flight suit?
No, he was in like a motorcycle jacket and leather pants. And had driven up on a motorcycle in his defense. We were just like, all right.
He came to another one you weren't at, Andy. He came in a full jumpsuit. And he said, was like, sorry, I'm late. I just got off a plane. And I think Klein was like, as the pilot? So, Hamm, what a perfect straight man in this sketch. Couple of kids getting some candy. And then Forte shows up looking like a pedophile, like members only jacket, mustache, glasses. And then immediately his first line is real Jost plus Forte plus Solomon writing.
Trick or treat.
Can I help you?
Well, that depends. Do you have any Kit Kat bars? Heck, I'll take anything without toffee. It's a real bitch on the fillings. Hey, don't call me a bitch. You're the bitch. What?
Right off the bat.
Immediately insane. With that said, though, in the best way, because this is a premise sketch, this line does not serve the premise, but it's comedy and people are super enjoying it.
Yes. At this point, you think it's just a sketch about a crazy guy coming to the door on Halloween.
And then Hamm says, aren't you a little old to be trick-or-treating? And then Will says, is 43 too old to be in the Halloween spirit? And by spirit, I don't mean ghost. I'm not that old. What? And then Hamm just leaves. Just shuts the door on him.
Yeah.
And then Will immediately rings the doorbell again. Says, I'm new to the neighborhood. Sorry for being so awkward. John, that's quite all right. Jeff Montgomery, pleased to meet you. And then John's like, once again, didn't make up for my behavior, but will you accept a Reese's peanut butter cup? Forte starts taking every single piece of candy out of the bowl. Another thing that just gets a laugh that is not really the premise yet.
Yep.
And then, by the way, we're only a minute in, so this sketch flies to the premise. John, out of curiosity, what exactly is your Halloween costume? Deadpan Will, I'm a sex offender.
Excuse me?
I'm a sex offender. For Halloween.
A sex offender.
Yes, pretty convincing, huh? Here, watch this. I'm Jeff Montgomery. By law, I'm required to inform you that I'm a repeat sex offender, and I'll be living in your neighborhood. It's a great costume, right? Could you sign and date these, please?
Oh, man.
It's so dark.
John, what am I signing? Will, laughing, oh, you'll get a kick out of this. You see, as part of my costume, I'm having everyone sign this form acknowledging that there's a sex offender living in the neighborhood, et cetera, et cetera.
Damn it.
And then, John, let's just be clear on something. Is sex offender your Halloween costume, or are you fulfilling a legal obligation to declare yourself a sex offender? Will, Bob, lighten up. It's Halloween. And then, because I'm reading the air script where you can see if something new is written in. This is a line added between dresser air, and oftentimes between dresser air, you are either cutting something that didn't work or just trying to beat something that didn't work. This is a rare case if they just added this line that gets a big laugh between dress and air. So nothing was broken. They just made it a little bit better. This was in. Bob, lighten up. It's Halloween. This is added. Besides, this is a tradition. I do it anytime I move to a new town. John, are you, Jeff Montgomery, a registered sex offender? Will, am I, Jeff Montgomery, a registered sex offender on Halloween? Yes. John, what about not on Halloween? Yes. Even when it's not Halloween, I'm still Jeff Montgomery.
Oh, God.
John, A sex offender?
Look, you're missing the point here, Bob. The point is Halloween spirit. The point is trick or treat. The point is, could you sign those papers?
All right, okay.
John, one last chance, and I will check with the police on this. Do you have a criminal record? Absolutely not. If I'm guilty of any crime, it's the crime of sexually assaulting 5 teenagers. Then I know you have to do that for the podcast. You have to be like,
Yeah.
By the way, I'm sure the first draft was worse.
It's both.
But then, because this line exactly gets a reaction from the audience, everybody's like, oh, and the two of them just stare at each other. Now, we all know Forte is never going to break. One of the all-time great starers. Jon Hamm's ability to stare back at him. The two of them just staring at each other. There is a rolling laugh, and it is two guys just crushing it by doing nothing except saying in the moment.
Yep.
And then last line of the sketch. Now, this is going to sound like a terrible segue, but are you... What do you think a terrible segue might be?
Oh, I know it now.
But are you looking for a baby?
Yeah.
Jesus.
God damn it. That's very funny.
I'm going to tell you one of the nicest things about reading this script again. 8 pages. I mean, not a second of fat on this thing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
It's a beauty.
To be clear, that's on the short side of a SNL sketch. They can get up there.
Yeah. 8 for a sketch that feels like a full sketch is very hard to do.
Agreed.
I feel like they always feel like, oh, that was a short one. I don't even remember that sketch as a short one.
They're not written in traditional screenplay format for those at home paying attention who know that stuff.
Yeah.
It's its own kind of format that does stretch the page a little longer.
Yeah, for all you final draft heads.
Yeah.
It's like double spaced at least.
For all you FDXers out there.
Yeah, hey FDXers, thanks for tuning in.
Support comes from ExpressVPN. Guys, you're online a lot.
Oh, all the time. I love being online.
But do you want everybody to know what you're doing online and just people?
No, absolutely not.
Thank you, buddy.
Can they tell?
Yeah, well,
Not real?
they can.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God.
And guess what? All your traffic flows through their servers. Internet service providers, including mobile network providers, know every single website you visit. Kyiv, Yorm.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, bad news.
And in the U.S., ISPs are legally allowed to sell that information to advertisers. Well, ExpressVPN, one of our sponsors, reroutes 100% of your traffic through secure, encrypted servers so your ISP can't see your browsing history. Let me tell you why I like it. I bought a pair of Hoka shoes.
Okay.
Already embarrassing.
Those are very comfortable.
I swear to God, 85% of my banner ads are for Hoka shoes now. I wish my internet didn't know that I bought them once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of people seeing from my internet,
Yeah,
too.
same here. That's my problem, too.
So here's the thing. You can hide your IP address. You can make it extremely difficult for third parties to track your online activity. It's easy to use. You fire up the app, click one button, get protected, works on all devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more so you can stay private on the go. Protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/island. That is EXPRESSVPN.com island to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months free. expressvpn.com/island. Support comes from Home Chef. Guys, what if I told you for just $500,000 a year, a chef could come to your home and make your meals?
I would freak out. Please don't tell me that.
Well, that's too much money, and I have good news. You don't need to do that. Here's the thing. Meal kits often market themselves as an easy meal prep solution, but they often disappoint people like Yorm with their complicated overlong recipes that aren't worth the effort.
Don't like it complicated. I like things simple. You tell me this is simple.
Yeah, well, Home Chef appreciates that and knows that to be the case for you, Yorm. They know that struggle, and they deliver fresh, delicious meal kits that can respect your time. Home Chef delivers fresh ingredients and chef-designed recipes conveniently to your doorstep to simplify your cooking experience.
I find Home Chef a bit overwhelming because there's over 30 options every week, and it can serve every dietary need, and it's so many choices. But Yorm, you like that?
I do. It's interesting that you say that because I like variety, Kyiv, and that's why Home Chef is number one in my book.
Quickly rank this for me. What's your favorite part? Is it quick 30-minute recipes?
Love it.
Oven-ready options?
Very difficult to decide already.
Microwave meals?
Also like?
Can I just jump in to say it's also economical? Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries.
I think that's a great thing to say.
And when meal planning ends up on the back burner, check out Home Chef's new 5-ingredient meals that simplify prep with super easy recipe steps using just 5 fresh, pre-portioned ingredients.
You know how I feel about that. I like it. And I've talked about that I've made these meals with my family and I've liked them. So I don't know what else to say.
And your family is like them. And now for the first time you were saying to me in years, you feel like your family likes you.
Yeah, food is the way to the heart. That's what my big Italian family always says.
For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 18 free meals plus free dessert for life. My goodness. And of course, free shipping on your first box. Go to homechef.com/island. That's homechef.com/island for 18 free meals and free dessert for life. Homechef.com/island. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. Hey, could you pop me over to Seth's Corner real quick?
Seth's Corner, you're all invited. Seth's Corner, it's happening right now. Take it away, Seth.
I wrote a couple of things. One was the cold open at Dress and then got moved into the body of the show. And it was a sketch I remember I loved rehearsing because it was pretty much all of us. It was Fred as Obama and Maya as Michelle Obama. And they were basically doing a concert because they were so far ahead, they were definitely going to win. And so it was just a lot of them singing Solid as Barack. It was a lot of fun of them doing songs. Andy, you were in it as Rahm Emanuel. You sang Our House with Kristen as Nancy Pelosi.
Was that my first Rahm?
I think it must have been.
Yeah.
Bobby as Barney Frank. Jason as Joe Biden. So again, we're getting the whole crew in there. My favorite moment rewatching it was things are going so well in the polls where you're even going to see Reverend Jeremiah Wright and University of Illinois at Chicago professor Bill Ayers. Those were two of the problematic people. That was where like the Fox News would rant about those people. And then what I forgot that they were sitting exactly like CeeLo and Danger Mouse and sang White Devils Be Crazy.
You'll even see Reverend Jeremiah Wright and University of Illinois at Chicago professor Bill Ayers.
White devils be crazy. White devils be crazy.
It was very fun. But I remember rehearsing that. We were all on the floor. Hamm was in it. And it was the last thing we rehearsed. And it was that night Amy had her baby because this was late Friday. And we were all doing the blocking for this sketch and we were all laughing very hard. It was one of those really nice nights where everybody was together. And I remember that Fred and Maya were doing a bit where it was like the SNL 80th.
Oh, yeah.
Where they were coming on stage as like really old people doing Noonie, the Noonie sketch.
I remember that.
And it's so funny that was whatever, 15 years before the 50th. It's like so much closer to being true now, but it was a lot of like Fred being like, Noonie, hello, Noonie. Hello, Noonie.
Me and Fred during blocking used to do a bit where we'd come out and pretend like we were hosting years in the future also, but the bit was, I'm back and now it's my time. I'm going to stand on center stage and everyone has to listen to me. And it's just me by myself.
That's great shit. I have a question for you cast guys. When it was a big cold open like that and everyone's in makeup and sometimes difficult makeup, did it make the then next part of the show really exciting? Because then everyone has to like break out and get into like crazy quick changes.
Yeah. It's fun. Everybody takes off running.
Yeah.
Like anytime there was like a what up with that, where there's like a ton of cast and different wigs and costumes. That's why it's often after update because the departments have a lot of
takes
time
so long
to
to get ready.
Oh, gotcha.
Takes longer to put on than take off. So
Correct.
And then when those sketches end, they find it's easiest just the stage manager yells cops and everybody scrambles.
Ditch the keg!
Wait, there was one more sketch. There was one more Seth's Corner, which is Jon Hamm's Jon Hamm. Jon Hamm's Jon Hamm. I don't remember a lot of the times when I had the inspiration for a sketch, but I remember the exact moment I came up with Jon Hamm's Jon Hamm. By the way, I'm not like talking about it like it's incredible or anything.
You're
but
proud.
No, but it's memorable. It's stuck around.
It's okay to be proud.
I love it.
We were at Lattanzi. You can read an article in the Wall Street Journal about Lattanzi, which is where
New York Times. New York Times,
excuse me.
I read it.
It's where Lauren takes the host for the host dinners every Tuesday night.
Seth, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we worked there, that was a secret.
Oh, I think that might be the end of Lauren going to Lattanzi.
Yeah, the fact that there's paparazzi outside now and stuff, it was so low key when we worked there.
That's a bummer.
It's not like a super fancy restaurant. It was a cool restaurant because nobody knew about it.
Why did we go? We went once. You and me, Keith.
We went once before a season started. We had a writer's dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember it.
And I think I've talked about this, but the first time I went was the night I found out I got hired. And me and Bill were there. That's the night I met Conan O'Brien because he was randomly also there.
That's fucking cool.
Pretty good.
Yeah. What'd you order?
I'm sure like 10 steaks.
Nice.
I was like, I got to get this while I can.
But we were at Lattanzi, and I was hanging out. We were talking. We were at the dinner. Andy and I were at the dinner, and Jon Hamm was at the dinner because that was obviously what we did the host dinner. And then you had to go back to the office and write. And I remember I went to the bathroom on our way out, and I walked out of the bathroom and saw Andy, and I said, I just had a sketch idea. Jon Hamm's Jon Hamm, the ham you can eat in the bathroom. And you said, write it up.
I don't remember that.
Jon Hamm, 2 minutes. Again, in and out, doesn't waste any time. And I rewatched it and it made me happy.
How long did it take you to write, Seth? Be honest.
I think I wrote it in the time it took you to watch it.
I can talk about it without the worry of having been the one to write it, Seth. It's a perfect host piece. It's a moment that Jon Hamm as an idea is red hot in the world, and everyone's super amped that he's on, and everyone loves Mad Men except me because I hadn't seen it. But it was like, it just immediately is what SNL is about. You know, they've been writing sketches like that the whole time, and that's a huge part of why the show is fun, and you nailed the assignment, and everyone laughed, and he loved it.
And I had forgotten that the tagline of the product was, if it feels like a slice of ham, don't wipe your ass with it.
Wait.
Again, it's just like when you make a very dumb writing choice and you kind of forget you made it. The website was Jon Hamm's Jon Hamm /ham.ham.ham.com. There were 2 .ham.
I will also say, in rewatching it too, because it's live and whatever light they have on him and gleaming in his eyes, he's so fucking handsome in this too. And I'm partially saying this because I know he listens to the pod, but
I was happy it was live. It also feels like, it's like a cheap product that you don't necessarily need to do, the cinematography on or anything.
That's true. But yeah, he looks good.
Again, if you're watching the 2-minute Jon Hamm sketch, a minute in, he does call out that it is just because his name sounds like it.
Now, I know what you're thinking, that I'm only endorsing Jon Hamm because Jon Hamm is also my name. Well, you're wrong. You're dead wrong. First of all, my last name has 2 M's, and second of all, my first name doesn't have an H. Feel like a dummy yet?
Out of Seth's Corner now into, there's a really nice A-Holes, which is a crossover with Mad Men. It's a period piece, A-Holes. And both Elisabeth Moss and John Slattery play themselves.
Oh, that's fun.
Which is lovely. I believe Elisabeth Moss is playing herself because Amy was playing Peggy in the sketch. And then when Amy had a baby, we realized Elisabeth Moss was at the show and she stepped in and played herself.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep, fantastic.
Again, I remember Lizzie and Slattery being in the sketch and everyone being like, whoa, and being like, oh, I bet if I had seen it, this would be cool.
You really want to hammer home that you hadn't seen Mad Men.
He's seen it now.
Yeah.
And I talk about that this is my opinion, similar to the Bomback and PTA thing. I think it's one of the best shows ever made.
Whoa.
Oh, shots holstered.
Yeah, I actually think it's really good.
And you've seen West Wing now, too, so you would have been like, that's Bartlett's daughter.
Exactly. Although I watched them in reverse order both during COVID. So I was like, whoa, Peggy is Bartlett's daughter? That was what
I had that same experience in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I also, now that I'm realizing, because I didn't know Slattery would be there, originally a dress, certainly not at the table. Then I think at dress, we added John Slattery, which were Venetian blinds for a toilet. That didn't work because nobody calls Venetian blinds Slatteries.
Right.
Huh.
It was a bridge too far.
Yeah.
But we did try it. And I was very happy he was in A-Holes because even he knew after we did it, it was fully getting cut.
Yeah.
There was a Vincent Price Halloween special.
Fuck, loaded up.
Yeah, that's pretty saucy.
Jon Hamm was JFK at dress. He had played JFK in the Obama thing, The Ghost of JFK. And between dress and air, Lauren asked him to play James Mason, and we had to rewrite it for James Mason. And also, Jon Hamm had to do a James Mason impression after never having done one, and was great.
His first time doing it live on air.
Yes.
That's what I remember everybody talking about that and being like, oh, not people at home, but at the show being like, oh my God, like that's even a step beyond a dream host, where it was like, oh, that's like something very difficult for even a really good cast member to do, and really cementing his status as like someone who's going to be asked back frequently.
I also do remember the moment where Lauren was like, can you switch? And he was like, yeah.
Oh, that's also why.
Because I think we all saw it happen in the room, too.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, it was a public Iceman just sort of giving a nod of like,
Fucking Andy's handsome? Ugh.
yeah, I know.
I want to just clarify that sounded like Yorm just said Andy's handsome, and I'm gonna accept that.
Oh.
And he had just realized it and was upset. He looked over at your Zoom square for the first time and went, oh, Andy's handsome? God damn it.
I also thought he said it.
No, I looked at my sleeve and it says Andy's handsome.
Like, well, what kind of chance does a guy like me have?
But here's how I heard it. I thought he said it, though. I also heard Andy, but I heard it as a slam, like he was like, and you're telling me Andy's handsome?
Oh.
No, I read it on my arm, guys, so I could tell you guys apart.
Oh, it's your mnemonic device.
Yeah, Andy's handsome. Lower left.
Andy's handsome. Akiva's smart.
Yeah.
Seth is a coastal elite.
Akiva wears glasses. Seth has teeth.
Seth is never hungover. I'm Yorm.
I'm your upper right.
Andy's handsome is one of his tattoos?
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
Yeah, that's what he had read. And it disappointed him. Because then he deduced which one was Andy and went, that's what I wrote? That's the tattoo? Okay, I guess it worked.
Andy's handsome.
Oh, my God.
Andy's speaking again. The handsome one's speaking.
But your tone was with disdain and disappointment.
Ugh. Andy's handsome?
Yeah.
Hey, you right. Seth has teeth was the best you could come up with for me.
I just looked at your face. You do have teeth.
Yeah, you have them.
It's true, though.
Even the guy giving you your memento tattoos were like, you don't got something better for your friend Seth?
Yeah, I think you should write
And
something
they're
else,
both
man.
just like,
I don't think that's going to help you the way you think it's going to help you.
This is permanent. You know this is permanent, right?
be like, he's okay.
I'm looking at the real rundown that you've been looking at, Seth, now, and I just want to point out that Ross Trent was called Digital Short: Rosta Man. We would never say Rosta Man.
So that one doesn't make any sense to me at all because you're not burying the joke.
No, somebody watched it and went, put in that Rosta Man sketch.
You don't think that was a game of telephone? Like we said what it was, and they were like, just fucking right down.
Who would have chosen those sorts of things at that time, Seth?
I feel like that's
Higgins?
maybe, but I don't know.
We must have not given one, and they needed one to put in there, and they didn't bother to ask us.
So they went to somebody in the film unit. That would be what I would guess, and said, what do we call it? I know this. If it was called Rosta Man, it's not Criterion.
But it wasn't called that. That's the thing.
I'm just saying if it was, I couldn't vote for it.
When we were just back for Sushi Glory Hole, the rundown just said Digital Short or Andy's song.
Aw.
And I was like, yeah, that's about right. You've been there, doing your political, soft shoe for them.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
So they're like, and now
Nice,
Andy's got
kid.
one of his little songs.
Right between the eyes, kid.
Here's Andy's song.
Akiva, I auditioned with 100 other guys for Doug, and I just had the best take, brother. I don't know what to tell you. Everyone was like, he is Doug.
Hey, also, we've said it a lot, but the end of Update was Keenan and Maya coming out and singing We Love You, Amy.
Yeah.
And we just can't wait to meet your baby. And it's really sweet. And then I hate it so much because then I stand up and I'm wearing jeans on the bottom, which I used to do a lot.
Seth.
And I'm just like, ugh, wear a fucking suit.
Piece of shit. Wear a fucking suit, you piece of shit.
Although, certainly it's come full circle now that I don't even wear a suit for my talk show.
Yeah, let's break that down, dude.
Yeah.
Let's get into that.
But we picked it up. That was the Jon Hamm episode that we wanted to revisit because we didn't get to it after our Ross Trent episode. And next week, again, this was just a fun time of getting first-time hosts who would then come back again and again and again. Paul Rudd.
Oh, wow.
Who is, of course, at the time, a five-timer.
Wait, it was Brolin, Hamm, Rudd all in a row?
How about that? And I think Hathaway right before it. Nuts.
Really good.
Fuck. Good
Nuts.
season. But let's not detract from Hamm. Hamm, great host.
Great host, handsome man. And, a lot of people probably are like, why didn't you get a voice note from Hamm? Here's what I would like. Hamm, I know, listens to the pod. Listen to it, John, and then leave us a voice note clarifying anything. The main point being, did you think Andy was a bad madman? And did you notice that Keeve left the room?
He's like, where's that guy from that Just Two Guys sketch? I've been on E-Bombs World watching Just Two Guys for the last 3 days prepping to get...
Oh my God.
Thank you for that reference, Keith.
E-Bombs World. Oh boy.
Fucking hell.
I love that. I mean, Yorm, Chris Martin, when we were back this fall, when he was talking to me and Keith, was like, where's the third one?
Nice.
Yeah.
I love Chris.
Oh, by the way, the 5 in a row, Hathaway, Brolin, Hamm, Affleck, Rudd. Find me 5 better SNL hosts in a row. Ever. Don't try to do it by memory. It would be nuts if this was what Yorma nailed. Season 27. All right, well, we'll pick it up next week. Love you guys.
All right.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you.